Hey, it's Angel Vane, and this is episode 65 of my author's diary. I am an author of crime thrillers for women, and every week I take you through the ups and downs that I go through as I try to write and publish new books. So if you don't want to miss what's going on with me trying to get those books published, go ahead and click the subscribe button or click the follow button so that you won't miss when I'm doing another video. Now, this week, I decided that I'm going to cook again when I do my video. And so I had such a good time cooking last week, and I made the baked kale chips, and they were phenomenal. And I made them like 4 more times over the week. And I'm like, this cooking on camera is really working to get you to eat more vegetables. So let's try it again. So this week I'm going to be cooking something different. I'm focusing on cauliflower this week. And I found this recipe for General Tso's cauliflower. So basically, instead of the chicken, you make it with cauliflower. So I was like, yes, that's what I want to try. 2 problems. One, they made their General Tso's sauce from scratch. I'm about to make no sauce from scratch. So I went to my local HEB, and guess what? They didn't have General Tso's sauce. So I had to supplement it, and I found some P.F. Chang's Kung Pao sauce. So I'll show that to you guys there. And I love the Kung Pao shrimp from P.F. Chang's, and so that's why I picked up this bottle. So I'm actually going to be making Kung Pao cauliflower instead of General Tso's cauliflower. Now, the second problem that I ran into is that they actually deep fried their cauliflower. Now, I'm from Texas, right? Can't you tell by my accent? So yes, I think everything tastes better fried, right? But I don't know how to fry. And I hope I don't lose my Texan card for that. So I'm so afraid to fry. Like I don't do the grease and then the popping and the spurting and all that kind of stuff like that. Just like I can't do it. So I found a way to oven fry the cauliflower. So we'll see how that turns out. Hopefully it tastes good. So today I'm going to be talking about, with my author's life, I'm talking about villains. So I have gone back into writing The Fallen Hero, and I thought it'd be really interesting to take you guys through some of the thought processes and the changes that writers make as they're doing the writing process. After they've gotten the first and second draft down, but they wanted to explore other changes that might make the story better. And one of the most important characters in a novel is not your hero, it's your villain. Because if your villain sucks, it brings down your hero. So you really have to nail your villain on point, okay? So I'm gonna get into making the batter for the Kung Pao cauliflower. And so what I have here is a cup of flour, which is probably way too much. I don't know how much batter this is gonna make. And I have a cup of milk here, And then from last week, y'all should know that I use garlic, salt, and pepper for everything for my seasoning. So I have about a tablespoon of garlic, salt, and pepper that I'm gonna sprinkle in there. And then I'm just gonna whisk that up. And one of the other things that I do when I'm cooking, because y'all know I like simple cooking, right? So I don't wanna do anything that's extra complicated. So one of the things that I do is I take advantage of all of this cut up fruit and vegetables that the stores have already. And HEB has this cauliflower florets. Now you can actually steam this in the bag in the microwave. But guess what, y'all? This saves you from buying cauliflower, having to break it up, having to clean it all yourself because it's already cleaned and washed and already broken up for you. So go ahead and cheat and get something like this. So with your villains, when I thought about the Hero in Paradise series, that is my core series that I've written. Basically, the only books that I've written are in the Hero in Paradise series. So when I think about that series, I have an overarching series villain, and then each novel within the series has to have a secondary villain. So I'm dealing with 2 villains with every book. And then I also, with romantic suspense, I do the point of view for both my female and my male hero, basically. And so each one of them kind of has their own storyline. And so one of the villains is for Julian, and one of the villains is for Mila. So when I started writing The Fallen Hero, all of you guys who write in your reviews in my book, oh, Mina still didn't, we still didn't learn anything about Mina's marriage. We still didn't learn anything about her history or her past. It all comes out in The Fallen Hero. Spoiler alert, right? So you're gonna get a whole lot more detail around Mina'S Past, her ex-husband, all of that stuff is coming out where, and for those of you who have made it to the Relentless Hero, if you have not, you need to zip past this part because I'm about to do a serious spoiler alert. The husband is back and she's still married. Yes, she's still married. She's still legally married, even though she thought that she was divorced. So that's her big issue that popped up at the end of the Relentless Hero. And so in the Fallen Hero, y'all get to meet her husband, Dr. Michael Marsh. So he is the first villain that is one of the villains in the story. Now the secondary villain is my overarching villain, who is Priscilla Dumais. Now y'all know Priscilla Dumais, she's insane, right? So, and she's out for revenge. She is not gonna stop until she gets revenge on Julian and Mila for breaking up her criminal enterprise, right? She takes that very, very personally. So now what I'm about to do is I'm going to dump all of my 10-ounce bag of cauliflower into the batter and stir that up a little bit. Get it coated real good. And I did this last time and I'm doing it again. I have forgotten to turn on my oven. Okay, so let's start. And so I put it on 400 degrees. I'm cooking on convection again. I learned, because I Googled it after I did the video, because I was like, you should have figured out what the convection part of your oven was before you did a video about it, right? And so I found out that convection basically, it cooks by blowing the hot air around the oven so that you get a more even baking temperature. And a lot of people said for most of the things that you need to cook, it's better to cook it with the convection because it'll cook it faster and it'll cook it more evenly than just the whatever it is that normally heats an oven, which, well, no. That bar thing that's at the top that gets hot, whatever you call that. So that's the whole point of kind of cooking with the convection. So I'm gonna cook this with the convection, 400 degrees, and tossing it in the mixture here. Some of these pieces of cauliflower are very big. I'm gonna break those up a little bit. And then I'm going to put it on my baking pan here, which I have covered with parchment paper. And y'all know she likes to cheat, right? I do the parchment paper because it helps with the cleaning process too. And it just makes things a whole lot easier to clean. I'm gonna put the cauliflower on the pan now, lifting it up out of the batter and just kind of spacing them out so that they're kind of evenly spaced here, just putting them out there. So yeah, so those are my two villains in the book. I have Priscilla Dumais is the ultimate series villain. So she really, like, you know, big time spoiler alert again. When you have a series villain, like, she ain't going down until the last book of the series, right? So y'all better believe something's gonna happen where she gets away yet again. She thwarts them yet again. And she will get her comeuppance in the Unexpected Hero, which is book 4 in the last book that I'm writing for Julian and Mila in the series. So now the question becomes, okay, how do you want to convey your villain in your story? So if you look back at the Accidental Hero, I actually did not have a villain POV. And it made sense why I didn't have a villain POV. It's because that book was written mostly as a mystery. It was a whodunit mystery. So if the villain has a POV, it kind of steals the thunder a little bit if you're with the villain while the hero is trying to figure out who the villain is. No, you want to do a straight whodunit like nobody knows who done it. You find out who done it when Julian and Mila find out who done it, right? So I didn't have a villain POV in the Accidental Hero. Then you switch to the Relentless Hero, and I was like, writing that who done it was a little difficult. I like suspense. I like bang bang, fire, fighting, you know, chasing people across the world, all that kind of stuff. So I said I'm gonna do this book a little more in the suspense vein, where you know that they're in danger, you know who's after them, and the question is, will they be able to save their own lives in time or not, right? So that gave me the opportunity to have a villain POV, which I gave a POV to Vic Harad, who was the secondary villain in that story. So again, that book also had two villains. So Accidental Hero had Irving Bond as a villain, plus Priscilla Dumais. The Relentless Hero had Vic Harad as a villain, plus Priscilla Dumais. And now the Fallen Hero will have Mina's husband, Dr. Michael Marsh, and Priscilla Dumais as a villain. So for the Relentless Hero, like, I was enjoying writing Tariq Harad. He's such a great villain, right? Because he does such diabolical things, but when you understand what happened to his family at the hands of the government, you understand, you may not agree, but you understand why he was pushed to do what he ended up doing. So when I thought about writing The Fallen Hero, I was like, oh yeah, I want to have another situation where I get the villain's POV. So I really hope this works, because this looks like it's really goofy. So here's my cauliflower all on the pan. Show that to you guys. There we go, that's a little bit better view. So that's my cauliflower on the pan. This is gonna go into the oven at 400 degrees on convection, and I'm going to cook it initially for 15 minutes. And then after the 15 minutes, we're gonna pull it out. We're gonna brush some of the Kung Pao sauce on top of the cauliflower, and then we're gonna bake it for another 15 minutes. And hopefully by that time, it will be really good and tender cauliflower and not like crunchy, like it's still raw. So I'm gonna take a break and wait for this oven to heat up to 400 degrees. Pop this in the oven, and then I'll come back and let you know what I decided about which villain was gonna get a POV in The Fallen Hero. Okay, I am back, and I'm gonna take my trusty Muppet oven mitt and take the cauliflower out of the oven right now. It has been 15 minutes. Whoa. The steam, y'all, it got me out of my glasses. Okay. So here's what it looks like so far. I'm actually gonna taste one just to see if this batter did right. I don't know. A little weird. See how what that looks like. That's a little weird. I don't know about this. We'll see. We'll see how it turns out, right? So let me taste this. I don't know. It's good. It has a little crunch to it too. Yay! Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna douse it with the Kung Pao sauce. Chang Kung Pao sauce. I have a little brush. I'm just gonna take it and brush some of this on top of each one. Really trying to coat it good. Coat them good with the sauce. And of course, after it's done cooking some more, I'll come back around and put a little bit more on top of it, because I'm a girl that likes a lot of sauce. I like extra sauce on my stuff. And I hope this, because it's like, you can tell the Kung Pao sauce is really good. But you know how like the sauces have sweetness to them? And so I don't know if that's gonna burn. I don't know. We'll see what happens when it goes into the oven. All right, so it's completely brushed now with the Kung Pao sauce. And I will show y'all what that looks like. And then we're gonna delve back into my villain issue with The Fallen Hero. So, when I was writing the villain for The Fallen Hero, I had to decide, okay, am I gonna focus on the Ultimate Series villain, or am I gonna focus on the book's villain, right? And the first draft, the first two drafts that I wrote, I decided to focus on the series villain. And I knew that it was too early to give Priscilla Dumais a point of view, because I really wanted to keep more mystery around her. And so instead I decided to give her adopted brother, Quentin Tufa, who works with her, I decided to give him a POV. So I gave him a POV. We're kind of seeing what's going on with him, got a little insight of what really happened at the end of the Relentless Hero when Mina and Julian were kidnapped and brought back to St. Basil, trying to sprinkle in a little bit of why did Priscilla Dumais even want that to happen. So I was trying to go with that angle, giving you Quentin's POV, and it fell flat. Because Quentin really isn't my villain. Priscilla Dumais is my villain. And if I want to keep that a mystery, then guess what? That villain cannot have a POV in The Fallen Hero. And on top of that, I realized, hey, for the Relentless Hero, I didn't give anybody in Priscilla's gang a POV, I gave the book's villain a POV. So like I said, there's a series villain, Priscilla Dumais, but each book has its own second villain. And so Tariq was the second villain. Yeah, he was hired by Priscilla Dumais, but matters all that. So I said, okay, the scenes were not working. The villain aspect of it wasn't coming off strong. It wasn't compelling. It wasn't really moving the story the way I wanted to move it. And there were elements that I know about Priscilla Dumais that I'm not ready to reveal yet in the book. It's stuff that can't be revealed until the last book in the series, The Unexpected Hero. So what do I do in my editing process? I say, okay, you know what? You picked the wrong villain. Let's redo this story with the right villain. And so I said, I know people are wondering, what's the deal with Mina and her ex-husband slash current husband, in legal terms only, Dr. Michael Marsh. I'm sure people really will be excited to get into his head and for him to have a POV. And so that's what I've done in the revision process. So I have written the prologue from Quentin Toothless' perspective, and again, I killed it. I killed my darling, and it's been replaced with the prologue from Michael Marsh's perspective. Now I'm going to put both of those on my website so that you can see the before and after, the scene with Quentin's POV and then the scene now with Michael's POV. And I can tell you right now, both are still rough drafts. This book in no form or fashion has gone to any editor yet. So please excuse the simple sentences, the getting to the point, the roughness of it, because it hasn't gone to an editor yet. It is just my rough writing at this point, and it will be refined, hopefully. Will be funny. As if by the time I publish it, y'all are like, she ain't make no changes to that scene. It's still rough. I hope it's not, though. I hope it's not. But I encourage you to go out there and check out, read both of the scenes, and you can kind of see what I'm doing right now as I'm editing the book and some of the changes that I'm making. And I hope that helps you to understand why I make certain changes and why I do certain things in my novels. So if you have any questions on that, please feel free to drop me a comment or send me an email. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have, and go out and check out the 2 dueling prologues. Now, this is going to be cooking for about 5 more minutes. I will be back to show you what the final result looks like and let you know how it tastes. All right, so I'm back, and there's about 18 more seconds before the cauliflower is done. I'm gonna put on my Muppet oven mitt. I think I need to get some little eyes for my Muppet oven mitt. And get ready to take this out of the oven so you can see how it turns out, and I can see how it turns out. And I can tell you right now, it's starting to smell a little burnty. I don't know. So, not quite sure. Oh yeah. Ooh. Okay, so like I suspected, the Kung Pao, like it kind of started to burn a little bit. I don't know about this. Okay, and try a little one and just see what it tastes like. See, does it taste good? I can tell you that the texture is really good because it's really soft. So I think it cooked well. You can see the steam. Steam is coming off of it, right? I don't know. The tip smells a little burnt because you can see it looks a little burnt there. And it smells burnt. Whoa, the Kung Pao kick. Yes. All right, so that's good. Okay, so I think the important part is just to kind of like lift up the cauliflower a little bit from the burnt parts of it. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to put a little bit more Kung Pao on it because it's actually very, very good. All right, this is going to be a little bit harder than I thought. So let me just douse one of these with a little bit more, because I can't do all this on camera, right? But I think it's gonna be okay as long as I separate out the burnt kind of batter piece and the burnt pieces off of it, which is like, yeah, not that great that it kind of burns like that once you coat it. I think if I do it again, I will just cook the cauliflower with the batter first, and then after it's completely done, take it out and just toss it in the Kung Pao sauce so that the Kung Pao doesn't burn so much in the oven. But it is really, really good. And the batter came out so great. So the batter didn't burn. It's just Kung Pao sauce that burned. So, if you want to continue to keep up with me and all the ups and downs that I go through as I write and publish new books, click the subscribe button. Then don't forget to click that little silver bell so you won't miss when I'm doing a video. And I will see you next time. Bye, y'all.